I do not know if I discussed this or not, but the parallel pressure is that with the blessings of China, supported by Russia, a parallel arrangement is being structured, organized, engineered, architected between Islamabad, Riyadh, Tehran. That is the first step. I received information that I was told is near perfect, verifiable directly with the office of the supreme leader.
Mhm.
That is not publicly known yet. Okay, I mean that is a caveat, obviously. I would not have called you. I was on my way to get surgery done, and then I received this call from a very reliable source. And I was told that they have come so far that it would be catastrophic for the aggressors to walk it back. So we would
Those are
not
the
be doing this except for the fact that we are privileged to receive some, what I believe, significant, very significant information that is backed up by intelligence, and we are privileged to have it. And that is the reason why why this show, Transition Protocol, in which the co-founders are my friends and brothers, Larry Johnson, with 4 years of experience in CIA, and Pepe Escobar, with significant globe-trotting experience that is unmatched, are here to analyze the information that we have, some of it privileged, not in public knowledge, some of it in public knowledge, and verifies what we believe is privileged. So, Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif has already announced what is the most significant part of this information, which is that a deal is at hand. This is not disputed by anybody, only the nitpicking is going on between the usual suspects. And that is not surprising at all. But my sources say to me, and that is the reason I invited you here. I understand you are very busy. You're on your way to a Russian embassy, and maybe some very significant events happening there, Larry. That is the reason I invited you here, and that is the reason I invited Pepe, even though I know he was in the French countryside, and that's the reason I'm here, even though I had this is one area of my body that has been punctured along with my spine. Otherwise, I would not be here. In my view, I believe this is very significant. My intelligence tells me that Moshtaba has already greenlit this deal. That is the supreme leader of Iran. So, between the two of you, whoever wants to go forward, please go ahead.
well, welcome everybody. Welcome Zulfikar. Welcome Larry. Welcome our audience all over. We were power shift. Now we are transition protocol. So it depends on if the U.S. government is going to have new ideas about us, right? Well, this is immensely important. I was on a traffic jam coming from the French countryside to Paris, and of course, I was keeping up in the middle of the most traffic jam. Very, very important point. I think the most important point at the moment. Moshtaba Khamenei has not signed anything. Number one, and this is confirmed. And Arakshi already said that directly. Arakshi, he's already being criticized in Iran because the criticism is that he's dancing around the terms of the 14-point agreement and he's trying to not explain them. But Arakshi already said, look, I'll only explain when it is signed. So at the moment, this is a theoretical MOU with 14 points. Very, very important. Moshtaba Khamenei gave the order for the negotiations to proceed. That's a completely different story. Only when he signs, then we can say that this is the final Iranian position. Very, very important. So we have to keep this in our collective minds everywhere as the key point. Of course, in terms of the big picture, it gets much juicier because if Moshtaba Khamenei says, okay, I will sign it, and it is signed, this means that the highest level of the Iranian leadership are satisfied with the terms of this MOU. And for the moment, what we have essentially is spin from all sides. So
Mhm.
consider this my introduction.
Yeah, and just to follow up on what Brother Escobar has said, the original the 14 points that Iran put out there. Let me run over those real quick. Permanent and immediate cessation of war on all fronts, including Lebanon. The U.S. commits to non-interference in Iran's internal affairs and respect for its sovereignty. Lifting of U.S. naval blockade within 30 days. Withdrawal of U.S. forces from around Iran. Reopening the Strait of Hormuz within 30 days with Iranian arrangements. Suspension of U.S. sanctions on Iranian oil. U.S. and allies to draw up reconstruction plans for Iran worth at least $300 billion. 60 days of negotiations to reach final agreement based on nuclear issues and the complete lifting of sanctions, reiterating Iran's commitment not to produce nuclear weapons. And during the negotiations, the U.S. will not increase its forces in the region or impose new sanctions, release $24 billion in blocked Iranian funds, establish a monitoring mechanism to implement the agreement, final agreement to be approved by a UN Security Council resolution. Final negotiations will not begin before the release of half of Iran's frozen funds, the suspension of oil sanctions, and the lifting of the naval blockade. So those last three there are three of the five red lines: frozen
Mhm.
funds, lifting sanctions, lift the naval blockade. The other two are recognizing, acknowledging Iran's sovereignty over the Strait of Hormuz, and most importantly, an end to Israel's attacks on Lebanon and the Palestinians. Now, those are the red lines for Iran. I think some of those others that we read off, they're negotiable, but those last five are red lines that I think are non-negotiable points.
Let me respond, gentlemen, my brothers, friends, co-founders of this, I believe, very very important channel that gets behind the news and translates what others are not able to see. I would not have invited you, but for the fact that I received information that I was told is near perfect, verifiable directly with the office of the Supreme Leader.
Mhm.
That is not publicly known yet. Okay, I mean that is a caveat, obviously. I would not have called you. I was on my way to get surgery done, and then I received this call from a very reliable source. And I was told that they have come so far that it would be catastrophic for the aggressors to walk it back. Those are the exact words. Otherwise, I would not be using those words. Catastrophic for the aggressors to walk it back. And then I was also told that this is uh, on the pressure applied behind the scenes by China and Russia, with Pakistan as the medium through which the pressure is being applied. So the reason why I believe this is important, and the reason why we are here, is that it may take. I was told it will take a few days when all of this is sorted out. Maybe it takes a couple of weeks, but it is not, from what I have been told, going to be walked back in a significant way. Now, if that is to be considered to be the truth, and that is considered to be the way this matter settles, that completely changes the face of West Asia and the Middle East and the US hegemony in that region for the last 50 years, that begins to dismantle the post Bretton Woods structure. And that is why I believe this is very, very significant. Now, not stated in all of this discussion, but equally significant is a parallel structure that is happening right now to apply more pressure. I do not know if I discussed this or not, but the parallel pressure is that with the blessings of China, supported by Russia, a parallel arrangement is being structured, organized, engineered, architected between Islamabad, Riyadh, Tehran. That is the first step. Islamabad and Riyadh are already as tight as a drum. Next comes Qatar, and what that attempts to do is to dismantle this existing hegemonic structure, dismantle the petrodollar hierarchy, and force an agreement upon Washington that it is very, very reluctant to accept, and obviously Israel at the same time. So I feel very encouraged by what has happened in the last couple of days. I feel very, very reassured that this is where the world is headed. I bring it back to you.
Larry, you want to go?
Yeah, well, I have no doubt about the authenticity and the accuracy of your source, but there are other players on the field that will change the outcome of the game, and number one is Israel. This entire process ultimately depends upon Donald Trump being able to do what Ronald Reagan did back in 1982. So in 1982, when the Israeli army was rampaging and killing Shia Muslims and Hezbollah was just in its early stages of being formed, Ronald Reagan got on the phone, and I think it was Bibi Netanyahu back then as well, and said and told him to get the hell out of Lebanon or else. That he was going to it was going to be, let's call it the Suez Crisis Part Two, where the United States stopped the French, the Brits, and the Israelis from taking over the Suez Canal back in the 50s. And at that time, the Israelis listened. They got out. They backed off. So Trump has it in his power to do that. He has the means to make that threat stick. But I don't think he's got the spine, the guts, the courage to make it stick. And the level of pressure that's going to be brought to bear on him now, it's already started. You've already started to see the comments coming out from members of the Senate who are insisting that this is a terrible deal and he can't go forward with it. So this will not be, we've heard this saying, at least in English, third time's the charm. Well, hell, with Donald Trump, it's now 39th time may be the charm, or we could be headed towards 40th. So I think ultimately this thing's going to be derailed by Israel. It doesn't mean that it's going to derail the process of creating this alternative security architecture. I think that the process of creating the security architecture is in place. That's moving forward. But in terms of securing a peace between the United States and Iran and Israel and Iran, I think those two paths will diverge.
Absolutely. Well, where we are at the moment is considering that we were on the brink of the resumption of war, really, really, really the hardcore way 24 hours ago. And now we have once again like a mirage in the middle of the desert of the MOU to be signed by both parties. And Trump, which is something absolutely not even in our wildest surrealist dreams we could imagine, Donald Trump posting a post by the foreign minister of Iran, which has just happened a few hours ago. So Trump is saying, look, the Iranians are saying that there is a deal. And now I'm saying there is a deal. So trust me, there's going to be a deal. The problem is nobody trusts him. So they have to confirm first with Tasnim to see if there is a deal or not, because they don't trust the president of the United States, all over the global south, especially. But the mechanism leading to what we are today is fascinating. And in fact, we called it from the beginning, the three of us. We called it. Last week, before we were officially suspended or eliminated by the US government, we had two back to back breaking news, which were okay, what is the key tone of the conversations between Iran and Pakistan to be relayed to eventually Donald Trump? And number two, what is the Islamabad Accord? We broke these two stories back to back, and then we were canceled. So this
Yeah.
proves that that your sources, Zulfikar, and our sources, and the reconfirmation of our sources is absolutely correct. That's already in itself extraordinary. And for instance, when we had confirmation from the desk of one of the key advisors to Supreme Leader Moshtaba Khamenei on our story, including that fateful phone call by President Pezeshkian to Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, his response, his non-response response was very telling. He didn't deny it. He just said, "I won't comment on this matter." These were his words in Farsi, translated into English. He did not deny it. So this means that our information was zillion percent correct. So that's the great part from our point of view as independent analysts of the most intractable foreign policy uh, matter in the 21st century. That's it. That's it. Even more than the proxy war in Ukraine, which compared to it is very, very simple. And now, and we know what's going to happen next because the suicidal impulses of the European political classes are undiminished. And the Russians, they have the long flow of history to deal with it. Iran, no, Iran is under an existential threat. And they managed to, for all practical purposes, win this war, the 40 something day war, and inflict a strategic defeat on the US. So now we are in the terms of how the President of the United States is going to admit that this was not a strategic defeat, but he's got a victory of sorts. So is he going to twist history to the point that everybody is going to see? But obviously, but he is twisting history. But there's nothing else for him to. He has to accept an off ramp, and he has to accept this MOU because there is nothing else being offered to him. It's the only game in town, and the Iranians played a back and forth masterfully, and the Pakistanis, they work 24/7, 48/7 to get to Prime Minister Sharif saying today it's practically a done deal. Not really, but let's say it's maybe 80%. As Larry detailed, of these 14 points, the US maybe may agree with two or three, but not more than that.
Yeah.
It's going to be an uphill struggle on everything. Not to mention the interference from the usual suspects, which has already started. They want to derail even the possibility of an MOU. But from our, no, the three of us, the three amigos' point of view, it's quite rewarding to see that the information that we managed to get and process was fundamentally correct. And we called this story before anybody else. So that's I would say a tiny reason for us to feel satisfied, and at the same time continue to be extremely worried because the opportunities to derail these MOU ahead are infinite.
May I say
Yeah.
something?
Well, I was just going to say that identifying the centrality of Pakistan's role in this early on was something that most people were not focused on. And that Pakistan, it plays a broader role in light of its previous promises to Turkey to provide a nuclear umbrella. In other words, a guarantee that if Turkey was attacked with a nuke, that they would be able to count on Pakistan providing a nuclear cover. Reports are similar assurances have been made to the Saudis. So the emergence now of a new regional military alliance with when you have Egypt, Turkey, Saudis, and Iran.
Pakistan and Iran. In fact, the five of them.
Yeah. Folded in. That really, that's going to carry some weight. That's why I say, regardless of how these talks with the United States and Donald Trump go, it is that other is going to continue to move forward in spite of that. And the United States is frankly going to run up against the limits of its power, because there are certain realities that are coming to bear. Number one, they launched, was it on Tuesday? They launched 39 or 49 Tomahawk missiles. And the Iranians showed for the first time that they actually intercepted and destroyed those before they got to hit their targets. So that was showing the improvements achieved thanks to either Chinese and or Russian air defense systems. But now the United States needs to try to replace those missiles, and lo and behold, they require 18 different rare earth minerals that are supplied by China and Russia. So all of a sudden, we're recognizing, or the world is starting to see for itself, the limits of U.S. military power. And those, there was a time when the U.S. was perceived as, undefeatable, that they were too powerful, too strong. But the events, not just over the last three plus months, 105 days, with Iran, but the 31 days, or it was about 40 days last year, March through May, with the Houthis. And then again, the 12-day war with Iran, that all of a sudden the United States is not nearly as invincible as many once believed. And so that as well is going to start factoring in. And then top it off with their failure to be decisive with the war against Russia in Ukraine.
Well, let me, with your permission, add a perspective to it. The source upon which myself, rely to provide us with the information that is not publicly available is not one to get excited very quickly for obvious reasons. So when this particular source was excited and called me as I was heading to get surgery done, I took the call because I understood that something maybe significant is happening. And the bottom line that I got from the source, which I communicated to you, is that the people behind Pakistan is obviously not a world power, but it is emerging to be a heavyweight. The people behind Pakistan directly are Xi Jinping and Putin. This is significant. And they are going to make sure that this something significantly similar to what we have been talking about does happen in the very near future, not the distant future, very near future. And that is significant. And they are pushing to get Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Iran back together like China had already done. The Pakistani Deputy Prime Minister Ishaq Dar, who got us into trouble, not necessarily by himself, but through other people, is in constant contact with Chinese foreign minister. Constant contact. This doesn't happen every day. This doesn't happen to the 190 nations of the world. They are determined to make this happen. They are not yesterday's childs, children. Okay, they are very, very experienced, very competent, far more competent than somebody who resides in, Washington right now. And this will happen. It's a question of when. It's not a question of whether. So, my brothers, this is why I invited you, even though I know that you were enjoying yourself in the French Riviera, with a French countryside, which I wish I was doing, and I knew that you were traveling. Kindly, forgive me for the indulgence, but I believe that this is a pivotal point in history.
I hope it proves to be. But regardless whether it's going to be a dynamic point, just the outcome, while appearing hopeful, still remains in doubt. When we hear, if people watching want to know how much can you rely upon this, when you see direct comments coming out of the Ayatollah Khamenei and out of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, then you know that this is on solid ground.
Okay, well, we have reasons to believe that this is auspicious, no question, and especially because we know for a fact. I could confirm to a certain extent in Moscow and St. Petersburg last week. Russia and China are fully backing not only Pakistan and Iran, but all the others, Saudis, Qataris, Omanis, involved in trying to finally organize some sort of new rules for the chessboard in West Asia. And obviously, there will be losers. We all know who are going to be the losers under these new rules, and that's what is so dangerous, of course. And from the point of view of the Trump administration, as Larry knows so well, there's nothing else they can do. Do they really believe that they're going to take over Karg Island?
Right.
Do they really believe that they can impose their blockade for another month, 2 months, 3 months until the midterms? So, we are back to realpolitik Kissinger style, in fact, which has been played by Iran masterfully. And Iran, okay, we can resist for months if that's the case. They took the sacrifice that they had to do in terms of what was a hit in their infrastructure, and is going to cost zillions of dollars to. But for them, it's a means to an end. You have to show that you are able to resist, and your sovereign resistance is a de facto threat to an attacker by absorbing all these horrible losses, which they did. And until yesterday, they were saying, okay, you want to restart the war? We're ready. Bring it on.
Exactly the point. Exactly the point.
Bring it on. And this was essential. Finally, I would not say that this got into Trump's 4-year-old brain, but somebody must have told him, look, you cannot break these people. Forget it. So take a deal. Of course, you're going to procrastinate, you're going to interfere, you're going to change the terms of the deal all the time. This is what Trump does all the time. But take a deal. And you can even sell the deal as your deal. He was
Right.
desperately selling the deal until a few minutes ago. We don't know what's going to happen next, but he is already selling the deal as his deal. No, now the Iranians are lying about my deal.
And do you know who
this is
who
how
was whispering in his head, Pepe?
Yeah, but this is how you deal with volatile and childish personality.
And,
Like
do you
an
want the
egomaniac
world to know who
the
was
size
whispering in his ears?
no, an egomaniac the size of the Milky Way. But and the Iranians, come on, with 2,500 years of diplomacy, you know how to deal with people like that. It's
Yes.
one thing that history tells you, and you
Well,
learn.
I don't want to take any more of my friend and brother Larry's time. He was so gracious to give us 30 minutes of his time, and we are right on the 30-minute mark. But just to answer the earlier question that I raised myself, it was the Pakistanis. whispering
Yes.
in
Yeah.
his ears.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say any more because I think people understand who that one particular Pakistani was. And he appears to have listened to him. So I will go on the record of saying a deal is going to happen along the lines that we have been talking about.
Hmm.
So next week, hopefully, when we come back with Larry at 2 p.m. Eastern, Larry, right?
Yep. 2 p.m. Monday Eastern and 11
Which is
a.m.
our
your time.
cadence. Which is our cadence. And Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern, correct, Pepe?
Yes.
And then the following day, Wednesday, Thursday, the three of us. Hopefully, at that time, we can have some more very significant further inside news, inside behind the curtain information that nobody else has that explains what is going on. So thank you very, very much for coming at a time when you were not supposed to be here. You were relaxing and you were attending to other business. Forgive me for inviting you, but I still believe this is a pivotal moment in history. And I thank you very much from the bottom of my heart with all the gratitude for making yourself available. Thank you very, very much. I'm going to say
Yeah.
stop right now, but kindly allow another maybe 2 minutes for this to upload, and then you can go back to your business. All right?
Hey,
So,
what service are you using to translate this into foreign languages and upload in those languages?
we are first of all, I'm building a bigger staff, significantly higher staff, because I believe in this, and I think it's called 11 Labs. That's a software, but we also
Well,
have access to a lot of other software. I think it's called
well,
11 Labs.
let me suggest. So I was our Pepe and we have a mutual friend Nima.
Yes.
So I didn't realize Nima's got it in. He's got it in like 8 different languages.
Mhm.
The fellow who's really organized this and put it together. They use a different kind of software. It says Pascal Lotaz. Pascal is he's a Swiss citizen, lives in Japan.
Yes.
So we could put
I
you in
know
touch.
who he is. I
Yeah,
know who he is. Yes. So what software is he using?
I don't know the specific software. Just that Glenn Deason's using it, Nima's using it. So Pascal has sort of pulled this all together. He splits. He gets it up, and then they've worked out a fee sharing arrangement with him. So, but it's Nima's in 8 different languages. I mean, he's in Portuguese, obviously, Spanish, Italian, German.
German.
Would you kindly provide the introduction so that I can get this information and maybe I can be a part of that enterprise?
Yeah,
That-
I'll do that.
I will
All right.
stop right now.